Ladies and gentlemen, you've stayed quiet. You've been still. Now they need a strategy just to find you. Your silence, it's a weapon. Your stillness, it's stealth. While the world blares, you're cultivating power under the radar. You've been watching, listening, waiting. You've seen the doubters, the noise, the distractions. They think you're knocked down. They think you're done. That's their mistake. Quiet isn't weakness, it's strategy. And from strategy comes domination. A soldier in ancient war, not the one in armor, the one underestimated. He crouched behind the line, unseen. Everyone thought him gone, but when the horn sounded, he leapt into the fray. One strike, one moment, enemy retreats. Victorious, that silence before the storm, that's your moment. Let that register. By breaking from noise, you prime your brain to see opportunity. You activate focus. When others are distracted, you're locked on. You dig deeper, you hone sharper, and you wait. Now feel the tension. That silence becomes tension. Tension becomes potential. Potential becomes explosion. And that explosion flips your life. You stayed quiet, but you've been growing, grinding, sharpening your mindset, reprogramming belief. Every small win in private builds a mountain of confidence that will surface in spectacular fashion. You are unstoppable. You don't say it yet, but your subconscious hears it. You see yourself crushing doubt, shattering limits. It sinks in below the surface. You wake tomorrow with a spark you didn't know was there. A boxer cornered in the ring, exhausted, bloodied. He hears the crowd thinking he's finished. Corner man in between rounds leans in. You've got one more round, one more breath, one more heart. And the boxer digs deeper, lifts himself, and the bell rings. He pushes through, he wins. Use that image now. You're that boxer, bloodied only by doubt, not real blood. You hear the crowd, you hear the doubt. Then you hear your inner voice. Fight. Push. Push past fatigue. Push past fear. Push past your own limit. Because right past it is your next level. And they only find you there powerful, unstoppable, visible. Breathe. Focus. Advance. Now visualize your battlefield. It's your career, your health, your mindset, your mission. Right now, it's dark, fogged, opponents everywhere, self-doubt, fear, distraction. Every step forward is resisted. But you don't retreat. You advance. You see an opening. You sprint, strike, you own it. By vividly picturing your victory paired with physical sensation like clenched fists, racing heart, you anchor your brain to that future. You are already wearing the champion's armor in your mind. That's rewiring. That's reprogramming. It sticks. Sight widens. You see the opening. You hear the wind. You feel the impact. Smell the adrenaline. Taste the victory blood. A mountaineer, halfway up Everest. Storm hits. Everyone retreats but her. She's alone. She wants to give up. She whispers into the wind, "Not today." She plants the flag, summit in sight. She makes it. Why? Because silence produced strategy, and strategy produced grit. Now it's your turn. Breathing intensifies. Heart pounding. Soul burning. You stand at base camp of your mountain. That mountain might be your dream, your mission, your next level. Storms coming, crowds doubting. Voice inside says whisper, not today. This is war. This is growth. This is your moment. You didn't disappear. You just removed yourself from the circus. They don't know where you are anymore because you're no longer where they left you. That's power. You're not broadcasting moves. You're not reacting to noise. You're not available for nonsense. And that's driving them mad. Because people can't control what they can't predict. They can't manipulate what they can't read. And they can't use what they can't find. You've become a problem. They expected you to beg, to prove, to explain. But you did none of that. You stayed silent. And in your silence, you built something they never expected. Peace. That's what scares them most. You're not begging to be seen. You're not explaining your side. You're not asking for closure. You've given yourself all of that in private. That kind of independence, that kind of discipline, it's terrifying to people who feed off drama and attention. You changed the rules. You flipped the game. You became the kind of person who doesn't need anyone to validate who they are. And now, they need a strategy just to locate your energy. Because your vibe, it's no longer scattered. It's not accessible to the unworthy. It's locked in, focused, ruthless. You're not hiding. You're training. You're not lost. You're leveling. You're not quiet because you've got nothing to say. You're quiet because what you're building will speak for itself. You used to react. Now, you observe. You used to chase. Now you attract. You used to explain. Now you let silence deliver the message. That silence, it's screaming now, and they hear it. They hear it in your absence, in your glow-up, in your discipline, in your refusal to engage. You're not in the group chats. You're not on their feed. You're not watching what doesn't deserve your attention. You're somewhere else entirely, winning. And you know what the wild part is? They didn't even notice when you left, but they're obsessed now that you're gone. That's the price of access. You were available. They got used to it. Then you weren't. Now they panic. Because people never value what's always there. They only notice when the presence disappears and the silence starts echoing. You walked away so quietly. They didn't realize you'd never return. Now they're stuck trying to figure out where it all changed. But the truth? It changed when you changed. When you realized that energy was currency. When you started budgeting your time like your life depended on it. When you stopped trying to convince people to see you and started seeing yourself. Now they need a strategy. They're replaying old conversations. They're watching your silence like it's a code to crack because they don't understand it. They thought if they ignored you, you'd come running. They thought if they disrespected you, you'd chase closure. They thought if they disappeared first, they had the power. But you didn't flinch. You didn't fold. You didn't send the paragraph. You sent the message through your absence. That kind of strength, that's rare. You didn't play the game. You became the game. Now you're unpredictable, unreachable, undeniable. That's what happens when you stop speaking and start showing. You didn't warn them. You just improved. You didn't attack. You just evolved. And while they were busy gossiping, you were building discipline in silence. Let them wonder. Let them guess. Let them talk. Because the more you say nothing, the louder your transformation becomes. They'll scroll through your name hoping for a post. They'll check your profile hoping for a sign. They'll ask around trying to place your energy. But they won't find you. Not because you're hiding, but because you outgrew the dimension they live in. You're no longer available at their frequency. You're not on that wavelength. You've raised your standard, and the air is thin up here. Most can't breathe where you're going. Let them feel the absence. Let them feel the void you left behind. Let them realize what they lost without you having to say a word, because that's how legends move. Quiet, calculated, unshakable. You're not loud, you're lethal. And the next time they hear about you, it won't be through a status or a story. It'll be through results so massive they'll choke on their assumptions. You disappeared for a reason. You withdrew for war, and now you're about to return as something they've never seen. Let them need a strategy. Let them burn hours trying to predict your next move. You're too far ahead, too locked in, too focused to be reached by the noise. You're not the same person who left. You're the version that was forged in the silence. That silence? It wasn't absence. It was ascension.